The Golden State Warriors, like many other teams, have been having an up and down season so far, and they have been in the news lately. We'll discuss this later, so stay tuned for our thoughts on the trade they made with the Brooklyn Nets for Dennis Schroeder, and they're also in want to get another star to pair with Steph Curry. But just for context about the Warriors season so far, started off very hot. We're 14-3. Since then, have faltered. Have had a losing streak in between there as well. Just got knocked out from the NBA Cup quarterfinals, which controversial ending, to be fair.
Pretty controversial.
Pretty controversial ending. But, non-Warrior fans would be like, man, they had Kevin Durant out of bounds a couple of years ago.
Nobody cares.
But no, overall, honestly, like many teams in the West, the Lakers, for example, some other teams that may have done the flip, started off slower, now heating up, like the Dallas Mavericks. They've kind of come back down to earth to standards, right? Like my Lakers are the exact same way, and we'll maybe make a video on them later on down the line. And comment down below if you guys would like to see that. But for me personally, a lot of it has been a lot of inconsistency with the lineups. Like I know you want to talk Buddy Hield, so we'll start there as well.
Buddy Hield, okay, he's a guy who's a Klay Thompson replacement, right? Obviously he's not Klay Thompson level, but he was cooking, right? And because of that, the Warriors were cooking. At the end of the day, the Warriors were hot. They were like, what? 12-3 or 11?
14-3.
14-3 at one point? So they're on an 8-game losing streak?
I'll check the losing streak.
No. I don't think they're on an 8-game losing streak. I don't know.
It wasn't an 8-game losing streak, but it was 14-3 and a lot of up and down.
They're 14-11 right now.
Yeah. Sorry, 12-3.
12-3.
Yeah.
So they were 12-3, not 14-3.
11-3. Sorry, 11-3.
Yeah.
I messed up my notes. The 14 are the total wins.
Yeah, 14 is the total wins. And you can kind of see now Buddy Hield has kind of obviously come back down to earth. Kind of one reason there. So from there, I could see the reasoning of why they want a second star. Even though Klay Thompson didn't live up to it last year for sure, and obviously it makes sense. The guy's one leg is has no Achilles, the other leg has no ACL basically. So I think they should have been in the market for a second star from a while ago, but obviously Klay Thompson's contract was the issue. But they don't have to deal with that right now.
No, let's talk about that, right? Because you're saying Buddy Hield was the replacement, which I do agree, because we said at the beginning of the year that it's him and
Anderson
are like a mix. But the true replacement was supposed to be Brandon Podziemski. AirPods, the nickname, right? And that's where your issue comes in. Like, honestly, I'm on Twitter. I see Warriors fans go nuts like how they want this guy shipped out, right? They bring in DeAnthony Melton, who ended up being traded for Dennis Schroeder. He ends up getting hurt for the year. He was really good for them to start off for the bit he played, and he was actually a decent backup point guard. Like that Dennis Schroeder trade, which again we'll get into later, was essentially a replacement for that. Podziemski was supposed to. You kind of remember you're a Raptor fan. The year after you guys won the championship, Danny Green left. Who was the guy who directly came into the starting lineup to replace him?
It was Fred VanVleet.
Exactly, right? Like he was your sixth man that propelled to All-Star status. I'm not saying AirPods was going to be this All-Star guy, but I guess for him, the sophomore slump is like a legit, not even just a slump. It's like a dump. like he's been that bad that he was supposed to be the guy coming in, starting, played well last year, and now he's like borderline unplayable. Right?
It's like you kind of compare it to Jordan Poole. He's like, oh yeah, they found the next
Jordan
young
Poole
guy.
was still better.
No, that's true. But it's kind of a sad situation where Jordan Poole comes in. Obviously, he had multiple years where he was good, and you're like, okay, this guy's the third star, the third guy.
They
solid
paid
player.
him like one,
and then they're gonna pay him at the end of the day, he did they're coming off a championship. He was one of the reasons why.
Really good year, yeah.
He was really good that year. And then now is obviously became unplayable essentially. And then with that contract, there's obviously a lot more eyes on him. This one's a little bit different because obviously
there's no contract.
There's no contract, so this is legit this guy's second year. So I don't know if it's I know he's been bad. Don't get me wrong. I know he's been absolutely terrible. But do you really gotta go all the way overreaction? Just say it it's fully get the hell out of here type of thing.
Well, here's my issue, right? Last year they said that he was untradeable. For Pascal Siakam when he was still on the Raptors, for Lauri Markkanen was the big one, right? He went from untradeable to unplayable. So there is a big, when you think of I get why, for me, context, the Lakers. Austin Reeves was the same thing. Would I want to get rid of Austin Reeves or not? For the right player, yes. In that case, Lauri Markkanen was the right player.
Yeah.
AirPods was not Wembanyama or even anywhere near. Let's go stick with his teammate Jonathan Kuminga, who started off slow and is now heating up as of late. I understand why you would not want to put him because he has potential. And for me personally, AirPods was not that.
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
And like a guy like Markkanen or a guy like Siakam or whoever else like that is going to be available would have been like one of the perfect pieces to pair up with Steph, right? Surprisingly enough, we would think rebounding would be a problem with them. That's not the case. They're second, like tied for second in the league in overall rebounding, and they're fourth in offensive rebounding. I still think they should get like a Jakob Poeltl type, who I saw a report that I think Michael Grange said they're not kind of willing to trade him right now. But a guy like that would help this Warriors team even more. But for me, like Brandon Podziemski was never supposed to be that case, and now you went from untradeable to now no trade value whatsoever.
That is
right?
true, yeah.
Like I don't know, like with that, like maybe the right team that like I guess the Utah Jazz or whoever could maybe be the fit for him to like rejuvenate himself because they have no expectations. But at the end of the day, like I don't know how much they wanted to trade him instead of DeAnthony Melton in the long term or whatever. DeAnthony Melton could still come back as a free agent, but because no one wanted him, right? So that's the issue. So that's the Podziemski side.
That is the situation, yeah. And obviously, when you're looking at Markkanen and Siakam, good fits in terms of size, right? That like at the end of the day, they lack size. And then the other issue, with
even though again they've been doing well because
Yeah.
defensively they've been in the top half, like rating wise as well.
that's true. But overall, like part of that is because Wiggins is actually like playing.
Wiggins is playing well this year.
Yeah.
Again, it's a lot of it might have been because he doesn't have to deal with like the personal life side of things.
Yeah,
like the
that's
passing
a
of his
big factor,
which
right?
is, again, as Canucks fans, we saw that with Brock Besser firsthand. And even then, yeah, he's been injured up and down here and there. But when he has played, he's looked like you don't want to trade him. But the problem is, your only trade pieces are him because he has the contract and Jonathan Kuminga, right? So let's bring up the trade and let's talk about the overall thing. Because again, Jonathan Kuminga is playing well. They want a second star. The problem is you got to figure out your internal stuff first. Kuminga is eventually going to get paid. What do you want to pay him, right? The issue is the major issue comes down to coaching a little bit. And Steve Kerr's the type of guy. Like we did our NFL video recently. He kind of is safe, but like he's like a Pete Carroll. That's the best way I could put it because he won all those championships. In Pete Carroll's case, he won one. But I'm just saying he won all those championships. And he's a Team USA coach. You don't fire a guy like that because the name brand, right? But his rotations have not been the greatest. There's like a lot of inconsistencies with who's starting and who's not. Yes, I get that. It might be because of matchup as well. But like now Draymond Green is sometimes coming off the bench. The only fixtures are really Steph and like Wiggins. Kuminga started off coming off the bench.
That's an issue, right? Because
To start the year off coming off the bench and now
here's
it's
the
starting.
thing, like when it comes down to it, in the clutch moment, you need your best 5 guys on. We don't know who they are because he's goddamn switching every single person.
Yeah.
Right? This guy's coming off the bench.
And
This
then
guy's coming
when
off the
there's
bench.
moments where like I'm gonna give you the perfect example, the Brooklyn game from a couple weeks ago. They were on a huge run and Steph was still on the bench. And it was too late by the time he got on, right? They don't have like outside of Wiggins, and even Wiggins is up and down in his career overall. You don't have that consistent guy
Scoring wise. Yeah.
outside of Steph, right? Steph needs to be on the ball a bit. Steph needs to be off the ball. Sometimes he plays the Darvin Ham style 3-guard lineup, which doesn't work out. You're starting a guy who I didn't know personally, Lindy Waters, because of DeAnthony Melton's injury. He started off decent, and now he's kind of took a step back. But you would expect that from a guy like him, because he's not a name brand, right? So, yeah, like first figure out that stuff, but to going now round it back off to end it off here, the whole second star thing, which you said you agree they need to do that. Here's the problem though. In the Western Conference, there's 3 teams outside of those 3 teams. The Pelicans, who are injury prone or injured as hell this year, the Trailblazers and the Jazz. The rest of the 12 teams think they're good enough to make the playoffs, right? Currently, the Warriors, I believe, sit in a play-in spot.
They're 8th place right now.
Yeah, they're
at the
8th
moment.
place right now. And like I said, the only team I'm confident with are the Thunder, somewhat Dallas, who's kind of reeling in the right direction, and then if healthy, Kevin Durant. But when he's not healthy, Phoenix falter a lot.
Here's the thing, right? Like with the play-in, like people feel like, okay, if I have a chance at the play-in, there's no point of me trading my main players away.
Yeah.
Right? Like obviously the deadline is gonna be. It's not as
Yeah, because
blockbuster.
that's where the play-in kind of screws things up
Yeah.
for people. But no, with that being said, they're not the only team looking out to get these guys. So that's where like
because they have more teams are competitive.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
More teams.
But
are
no, and
competitive.
this is I'm talking about Western Conference only.
Yeah.
There's an Eastern Conference that is equally as competitive, for the most part as well, right? And like for me, let's talk about the Dennis Schroeder trade. I think that was the right guy to bring in as a good elite backup point guard. Could play with Steph when needs to, but again, he better not be the guy that like makes Steph off the ball a lot. But when he needs to, he could play with Steph easily. He's a really good defensive player. Like you've seen him. Well, he didn't have the greatest Raptor tenure, short Raptor tenure. But with the Lakers, I've seen him be a streaky shooter for sure. But he's an energizer bunny. Like he'll pick up full court. He's a pest.
Yeah.
Right. So defensively, that helps your rating even better, even more. Right. So I like that. The question was, do they package him? And this is one guy or two guys there's three guys from the Brooklyn Nets that were looking to get traded. Cam Johnson, Dennis Schroeder, Dorian Finney-Smith. The reason why it wasn't a triple trade for them, and which is why as a Laker fan, I really want Cam Johnson. I feel like Cam Johnson would fit here. Is Jonathan Kuminga. They wanted him. I see why, because he brings the value. And I see why the Warriors rejected it, because Cam Johnson isn't the name brand necessarily. Like, can you package Moody and all these guys and a bunch of picks to get them? It's going to be tough. Like I said, we're not going to know till near the deadline, right? So because of that, they only brought in Dennis Schroeder. So the question is, who could you really package and get? The names that are potentially available: Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. They're both injured.
Yeah.
Right? Zion obviously shown as injury prone. That's the type of guy I wouldn't mind taking obviously doing.
But they're not getting rid of him like for nothing. At the end of the day. Like it's gonna take Kuminga. It's as simple as that. So it's gonna take Kuminga or a Wiggins. It's gonna take someone valuable.
So here, let me see if I can pull up their contracts here. I thought I had it.
But like when you're looking at it, like say you want Jimmy Butler, like you have to trade Wiggins. Like, there's no doubt about that.
Like, okay, see, here's the thing. Steph Curry is at $55 million. He's not getting traded,
yes.
Right? And you need to maximize his window now because he's been that good. Like, Steph Curry is still a top 3 point guard, in my opinion, in the league, and arguably could be number 1 on given nights, right? The other two being Luka Doncic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? Outside of that, are you going to really trade Draymond Green? I don't think you are. He's at $24 million. DeAnthony Melton, you just traded. He's at $12 million. So that obviously covers that one. Andrew Wiggins, $26 million. After that, $9 million Gary Payton, $8 million Buddy Hield, $8 million Kyle Anderson. Jonathan Kuminga's at $7 million. That's his rookie contract at the moment, right? So how are you gonna salary match these guys? Like, you got to do a lot of like either trade exception. And again, we're not cap analysts. We don't know what's fully going on. But if you want, like, for example, Jimmy Butler, right? Which, stay tuned, we'll be dropping a Jimmy Butler trade video because his name is in the trade boards everywhere because he's a pending UFA as well. How are you going to match that salary? Like, are you willing to get rid of Andrew Wiggins for Jimmy Butler?
Yeah. That's the only thing.
I wouldn't, but you need Jimmy Butler. If you want to be a contender this year, because, again, it's a very open West, Jimmy Butler is the perfect guy to get as long as he's on the court because he's a playoff monster.
Yeah.
And he's the type of player I don't mind pairing with Steph Curry because he's not going to take the ball out of his hand often.
Why wouldn't you do it, though? Here's the thing. Like, at the end of the day, Jimmy Butler is Andrew Wiggins on the defensive side of the ball, basically, but brings better scoring when he's on his game.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? Like,
he's a playoff-proven player.
Yeah, and he is a second star. He is the perfect fit.
But do you do that trade, like, for, I don't know, not a 1v1?
Obviously they have,
you might have to because they have history from Minnesota, to be fair, exactly as well.
But, like, obviously it's going to be centered around that.
But if you want a second star, Jonathan Kuminga's got to be in the mix. Andrew Wiggins might not, or you could package a bunch of players.
Yeah,
there's 3 teams trade. I'm not gonna say that. I personally would not trade Andrew Wiggins. I'm gonna say that. That's me personally. It depends on who's available, right? At the end of the day, Joel Embiid could be a name available in the off season to be exact, because we don't know what's happening with the Sixers. I'm not saying like that's not gonna happen now. So to maximize this window, you need to find a guy that fits. Other guys you could do is like kind of like that Laker trade where they brought in D'Lo, Jared Vanderbilt, and
a bunch of solid
pieces, which would have been that Nets trade. Again, risky if you trade Kuminga, but maybe Portland, right? Jeremy Grant's there.
Yeah.
You look at Washington. I know Kyle Kuzma's struggling, but like other guys like that. I'm not saying Kyle Kuzma. I'm just name dropping before Warriors fans go crazy at me. I'm just name dropping guys on the top of my head here.
Give Jordan Poole.
But overall, like if you want to maximize this window, you need to be on the trade market ASAP because again, there's 11 other teams in the Western Conference, you being the 12th, plus the Eastern Conference teams that are really going to try to maximize their window now as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Right?
So you just got to ask yourself the question, like, do I want to go all in? And if that's the case, Jimmy Butler's going all in. As simple as that.
You need to, because Steph Curry is damn good when he's still on the court at his age, and his shooting is still elite. You need to maximize the window. You got to figure it out. Yes, there's obviously certain risks you might have to consider taking, but we'll see what that time comes if they do make a trade. Let's see what they do. Secondary star according to Shams. I can't wait. Let's get the trade window rolling because NBA trades are fun.
NBA trades are fun, yeah.
But that being said, comment down below. What do you guys think? Especially if you're a Warriors fan, if you agree with that, if the lineups are the biggest issue, coaching, players, GM, whatever. Comment down below. What secondary star would you like? Would you trade some of these names that we mentioned as well? And also, NBA fans as a whole, comment down below. What team would you like to talk about next as well? Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We appreciate the support. Follow our socials, link down below as well. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.